Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 74 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here, we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Join our Facebook group, Life Transformation Radio Community, and never miss an episode by subscribing wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, the Himalaya app, Google Play Music app, and now we are available on Pandora. Subscribe wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, and be sure to rate and review the show. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, podcasters, and authors, and amazing people who are impacting the world around them. And my guest today has done exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, it is my honor, my privilege to introduce my guest for today, my friend, fellow podcast host, Adam Schaeuble. Adam, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Sean Douglas. I am so fired up, brother. We are going to light it up. So get ready, audience.
Listen to this voice. Like, I shouldn't even host a show after listening to that voice. It's like you have a voice that is $1 million voice.
I hope that everyone's testosterone is increasing right now.
Dude, I love it, dude. I love it. Thank you for everything, man. Thank you for coming on the show. Dude, you're on a mission. I love what you're getting yourself into, and we're going to dig in, man. And I am pumped to bring you to my listeners today. The title of this episode is The $1 Million Mission with podcast host Adam Schaeuble. He is a.k.a. the PhD, previously heavy dude. He hit a rock bottom moment in his life where he weighed 327 pounds. He then went on his own 100-pound weight loss journey, and as he was on this journey, he started to inspire people in his hometown to join him. He started a gym and a boot camp program and helped his hometown lose over 35,000 pounds in 5 years. Now, he's the host of the top-ranked health podcast, The $1 Million Mission, where his goal is to inspire 1 million pounds of healthy results, which he tracks on his website, millionpoundmission.com. Adam is known for helping women and a few men over the age of 30 that are super busy being employees, entrepreneurs, partners, friends, and moms. These are the people that tend to put themselves and their health last on the priority list, and Adam teaches them how to escape the black hole of weight loss doom, which is where most people get trapped in the vicious cycle of losing weight and gaining it back over and over again. Adam impacts his community by teaching them his 7 necessary steps for long-term weight loss success that has produced a total of 55,000 pounds of results for his clients and community members so far. With all that said, I need you all listening right now to go to millionpoundmission.com. And he is also the host of the incredible Casting the Pod podcast. So with that, Adam, my friend, I have to ask, man, what is your why? Why do you do what you do?
Well, that's a heck of a great place to start, Sean. And it's interesting because with all this, this million-pound mission that I'm on, it all started with my own health journey, and like that, my why was just getting my own life back on track. And you went through the whole story there, and as everything evolved, it's been more about, losing 100 pounds was cool for me. But in that 5-year span, when I helped my hometown lose 35,000 pounds, I helped 15 people from my hometown lose over 100 pounds. And just seeing the spark return to their eyes, that's what I'm addicted to. Giving people hope, giving people clarity in this battle that they feel a lot of frustration with people reclaiming control of their health. It's one of the hardest things we'll ever do. So my why is to get out there and impact as many people as possible and reignite that spark and help them reclaim control of their health over their lifestyle and really feel like they're back in that driver's seat and getting the results they deserve. And that's what I'm driven to do every single day. It's like it's burning inside of me at an annoying level, Sean. Like I have to do things like be on podcasts and teach people and just impact people as much as possible. Like I just feel like there's so little time and so much work to do. So it's just it's that fire that keeps burning bright inside me, brother.
Dude, I love it, man. And I can feel your words. They're powerful. They're energetic. They hold a lot of weight. And I love when you start talking about how fired up and jazzed you get, because it's contagious. And I'm getting like goosebumps, like 35,000 pounds. Like that's incredible. And you said you helped people lose over 100 pounds, which they themselves are feeling healthy and they themselves are living a different life because of you. You literally directly impacted people's lives, their health, and their longevity.
Yeah, and that's one of the coolest things about what I do is I get to see these results spill over into other areas of our life. I know you've got probably a really large population of entrepreneurs and people that are out there hustling with their careers listening to this. And so one example, I'll shout out my client, my friend Mandy. She started with me, I think 6 years ago. She was one of my 100-pound clubbers. But as she lost that weight and reclaimed control over her health, she started to get more comfortable being uncomfortable and getting outside of that comfort zone with things like relationships. She started getting out and dating, and she started kind of pushing the envelope with her work, doing more continuing education, rising the rank. Now she's in a managerial position. I got to watch her walk down the aisle and get married a couple of months ago, and it's just incredible. I feel like so many people just put themselves and their health on the back burner, and they're like, I'll take care of that later. But one of the things I always say, Sean, is that you have to find your why. Like you mentioned, you have to find your why before your why finds you. The why is going to come calling sooner or later, and you just got to hope that's not in the form of a heart attack, stroke, serious disease, because you may not survive that why coming, knocking on your door. So it's our advantage to put ourselves first, pay ourselves first, as my friend Dr. Jamie Seaman says, and we have to get out there and really own our situation. And once we take control of our health, anything is possible. And we see that. I love seeing that growth spread into other areas of our lives.
Dude, so freaking cool, man. Like, so awesome. I look at everything you're doing with the podcasts and with the gym and your mission that you're on, and I want to go back to that transformative moment that started. It was the spark. It was the big bang. What is that transformational moment that changed your life and put you on the path to what you're doing today?
Yeah, let's dive into that, Sean, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people listening that are probably feeling like I felt. And so if we're going to dial it back to that big bang moment, it was over a decade ago now. It was 2007. I weighed 327 pounds. I had $40,000 of personal credit card debt. I'm not talking about that's not even like car loans or home. That's just like stupid credit card spending debt. my career was not going where I wanted. My relationships weren't going where they wanted. Yeah, I just felt like I was, I was 27 years old and just feeling like out of control. And I don't like that. I've always been somebody that enjoyed the feeling like I was driving the vehicle with my hands on the steering wheel, and I felt like I had my pedal to the metal, but my hands were off the wheel, and that didn't sit well with me. And so I one evening I went home and I had my very first dose of personal growth material. The joke I put out there when I get interviewed on podcasts is that my only exposure to personal growth was when I read the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, and that I didn't learn very much from that, Sean. I don't know about you, but so
no, I don't think so.
So I one of my friends let me borrow the DVD, The Secret, The Law of Attraction, and it was just serendipitous timing where I sat down that night and I mapped out what I wanted to create in my life over this next 5 years. So this is July of 2007, and I set a 5-year timeline for July of 2012. And I just wrote down, I basically placed my order with the universe. And a key lesson that I learned right from the bat, I'm so glad that I realized this, Sean, is that, the law of attraction is good, but you can't spell attraction without action. And I knew that I had to dial in my mindset. I knew how important that was, but I knew I had to act in line with what I wanted to achieve and act every single day. So this big bang moment, I watch The Secret, I buy into the law of attraction, I map out everything that I want to achieve, but I created an affirmation list that I put myself to task. I said, listen, I have to read this out loud and feel it every single day, every morning, every night, for the next 5 years, and I have to keep doing that until I achieve everything on this list, or I cross that deadline, that finish line of July 12th of 2012. So I did it. If I have one superpower, Sean, it is implementation. I implement like a mofo, and nothing stops me from trying every single day. So I woke up, I read my affirmations, I read it, and I put myself in that place that I wanted to achieve. And I did that morning and night for 5 years. In that 5-year time span, I lost 100 pounds. I helped my hometown lose 35,000 pounds. I created a business. I started the boot camp. I started earning income from helping people. I fell in love, got married, started a family, got out of all of my debt. Just everything went according to plan, not because I sat and wished and hoped and dreamed. I did all of that. But every day, I wouldn't allow myself to lay my head on my pillow until I moved the needle in the correct direction, at least 1%. And that's what got the job done, is the daily implementation that really, if you just make a small, I wasn't trying to go out there and solve every problem in one day, but I knew that I could chip away. Right. And if I chipped away for 5 years, amazing things could happen, and they sure did.
Love it. Man, I believe that every moment creates another moment, which creates another moment. And that moment to moment to moment is what pushes you into your path and your purpose. And what I love about that is you decided to immediately do what you're going to do, implement, and then give back. Like, okay, I made this happen. Now let's see if I could do it with people close to me. And then you did it in your hometown, and you've got a gym, and now you're at podcast events, and you're doing podcasts, and you're a guest, and you're a host on your shows, and it just evolves, and it wouldn't have happened if you wouldn't have taken that first step and said, yes, okay, I need to do this.
You're exactly right, and so many people sit in their nice comfort zone, nice comfortable comfort zone, I should say, and that's where all the normal stuff is. And for things to change, you have to change. For things to get different, you have to get different. You have to do something different. And that's just, like you said, I'm so glad that I decided to get uncomfortable and push the limits and see what I was capable of, because, what if I failed? I would just end up back at the place that I already was. So there's nothing to lose, right?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So many people are afraid to start. So afraid, I don't know if it's they're afraid of success? I don't know. But what have you got to lose? If you start, at least you start the first day and you quit the first day, you're not out anything. If you quit the 1,000th day, you got a lot more riding on it. You know, so the hardest part is to start, and I don't know why it is, because what, you might be successful and people are afraid of being successful. Some people I've talked to have had that happen. They're like, oh man, what if it works out? Like, I don't know. And right. So I need people to start. And that's your message that you're talking about right now, is just start, just do it. Just say yes and figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when we're talking about health, there's so many people out there that just put that on the back burner, and they're like, yeah, later. A good example, I had a gentleman at my gym that started a boot camp last year and was motivated and was like, yeah, I need to work on this. But when somebody signs up for that program, we require them to be accountable every single day. They have to send in an email report every day on their food, and they check in with somebody that's assigned to check in back with them and report back to them and give them assistance. And after day 3, he said, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to send an email every day. And just think about that, Sean. Like, how long does it take to send an email? And so,
depending how old your computer is and your operating system.
So, that's day 3 of an 8-week boot camp that he paid in advance for, paid $500 for. Day 3. Okay. Wow. Sadly, listen to this, man. 6 weeks later, heart attack, dead. Died.
No.
Yes. 100% truth. Has kids, has a wife, dead. All right.
Wow.
That's what I say. That's what I'm talking about when I say find your why before your why finds you, because you may not survive it. Like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why I'm trying to reach as many people as possible. And I know that I can't make anybody make this sort of a change. And I know I can't want it for you. Eventually, people can plug in to people like you and me, Sean. Like, we have energy. We are energy givers. And people can plug into our energy, but eventually they have to come up with their own power reserve. They have to level up and meet our energy level in order to take, right, take flight and be successful. And that individual, he didn't want it bad enough for himself. He didn't have that mindset of like, this is serious stuff. I'm at risk for heart attack, for stroke, for diabetes. And, we're not invincible. So if we don't invest in ourselves first, another good example, I had somebody that emailed me. I just kind of check in with people every once in a while. Hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I haven't been doing any classes in a while. I haven't done anything in a while. Just been really busy. I said, all right. Think about it this way. Were you busy 10 years ago? Probably. Were you busy 10 days ago? Probably. Were you busy 10 months ago? Probably. Will you be busy 10 months from now? Probably. Everybody's busy. We aren't unique and special, right? Like, we all have kid busyness. We all have spouse busyness. We have, work busyness. We have friend busyness. We have podcast busyness, whatever we got going on. The busyness fills up our schedule, and it will just pour in. And the people that win the game are the ones that build a fence around their time that they're going to invest in themselves. Mm-hmm. They win the game. Because what's the point if you aren't doing things for yourself, if you aren't, seeing personal growth, if you aren't in control over your health? It doesn't matter how much money you have, if you're sitting in that casket, like my client that kind of gave up too soon on himself. So that's kind of a sad example, but that kind of reality needs to be out there.
100%. I mean, there's so many times that we hear of, man, if I just did one more of something, or if I did one more of this, or if I would have caught it earlier, if I would have, like, you could play the game all day. It's just start now. We know what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to eat McDonald's like every day. We're not supposed to do these certain things, smoke and drink, and there's a lot of things we're not supposed to do, but people end up doing them. So just make the decision. One thing that I was thinking about, and I think this would be super cool. Have you ever thought of creating a boot camp or something for like the military? I think that would be super cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm game to help whoever. I'm just scooping people into the Adam Awesomeness funnel and saying whoever wants in. But people have to, like, probably the biggest lesson I've learned over, the decade plus of working with people in mass here is that, like, they have to want it. Like, they have to step up and opt in and raise their hand and say, I'm ready. I can't raise their hand for them. I spent so much time, I recently actually sold my gym like a couple of weeks ago. So now I'm fully in the online space. Yeah, it was a big deal. But part of the reason I kind of burned out on that is I had to chase people down so hardcore and go, I want this for you. Just walk through the door and let me take care of you. And they wouldn't do it because there was traffic or there was construction or it was cold outside or I'm like, you don't quite get it at the level that I need you to get it at yet. So, it's just that's what I look for. Anybody that raises their hand, reaches out and says, I need help and I'm ready to take action and I'm ready for somebody like you to help me, then let's plug in. Let's go. Let's rock. Like, I will match and exceed your energy level and your commitment level, whether you're military, entrepreneur, mom, dad, I don't care who you are. If you're willing to step in and say, yes, I'm ready, raise that hand. Let's rock, man. I'm right there, ready to lock arms.
In the military, when people fail PT tests, depending on the branch of service, is dependent on how much PT you do. It could be a 5-mile run. It could be a 2-mile uphill ruck with 75 pounds in your back. It just depends on what part of the test and, certain amount of push-ups, certain number of sit-ups in under a minute and all that. And I keep thinking of, like, when they fail, and I've had young kids, who never do any PT. Now, sometimes we're supposed to do 3 times a week minimum, but sometimes they'll try to duck out or they just don't show up or, whatever. So anyway, they're getting tested. And when they're borderline, we send them to, we call it Fat Boy Camp, but it's some civilians that we hired on base. Supposedly they have knowledge, which I've been to a couple classes, just see what my airmen go through. I'm like, this is pathetic. This is atrocious. It's like a 20-year-old person that's like, when I was in track in high school, this is what we used to do. So this is what we're going to do. Like, what the hell? You have no knowledge. You don't even know why the coach is making you do it. Like, this is dumb. So you've got these grown men doing like these, like, I don't know. I don't even know what you would call them. Just make stuff up. They just make stuff up as we go. I'm like, this is so bad. So I'm just saying, I mean, there's an opportunity, I would think, on, with military, because we're always made to do PT, and nobody really knows where the PT programs come from. So I was thinking, I'm like, man, there's such a mission there because we've got to get our force tight, neat, and free.
Yeah.
Like, our military members need to be, like, fit. They need to be physically healthy and fit. And they've changed the food pyramid like 4 times. I think it's the plate now. And we're always like, well, if you eat a level of this and you do it, I'm like, well, I'm not a nutritionist and I don't know what you're talking about. But so I meal prep. My wife and I, we meal prep. We know exactly what we're going to eat that day. We're not throwing things away because we didn't eat them, vegetables, whatever. But we're making sure that what we put in, like, I have not ate Hamburger Helper in our house in over a year. 2 years, 3 years, probably. I mean, if I really look back, it's probably 2-3 years. However, a friend of ours made food for us, and immediately my kids, my wife and I, we looked at each other and was like, what the hell is this? I was like, what is this? She goes, oh, it's Hamburger Helper. I'm like, that's what? Like, it was just, we lived off of that. For the first, like, probably 8 years of our marriage, we lived off of it. We had 2 young kids. Now we got 4 kids, but we had 2 young kids and newlywed and trying to figure this marriage thing out. And we were eating like trash. I mean, we'd eat pizza and then a Hamburger Helper and everything was box made and bag dinners and like, now we eat fresh. My wife spent yesterday, we actually literally bought ginger root yesterday.
Congrats.
I was like, what is that? She goes, oh, it's ginger root. I'm gonna make broccoli and beef. Like, it's Chinese, like broccoli and beef. You need ginger for that? Bro, that thing, all I tasted was ginger in that thing. I was it's like eating ginger ale. But that's the thing. Like we had to make those changes because I felt it. I was lethargic after my MTI days where I just ran all day long and we were just go 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 go. After that life, I was like, man, I've gained like 10 pounds. Like what the hell? And then I gained like 20 pounds. I'm like, oh god, like what the hell's happening? I wasn't doing the PT like 5 6 days a week, like because I did PT with my trainees in basic training. 3 years after I left basic training as an instructor, I was gaining weight rapidly, mid 30s. I'm like, oh god, and then my weight went from like a 30, 31 to like a 34. I'm like, oh my god, this sucks. So yeah, we had to make changes, but it's either you do it or death, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, because guys that are hard charging like us, like the stress level is there. So you add stress level plus poor health and clogged arteries and a gut with visceral fat. That's you're just asking to check out decades earlier than you normally would, and that's the investment I'm looking for people to make. And the thought process is like, yeah, the workouts are hard. Nutrition isn't always fun, but look at the people that need you to be around. Really think about those kids and those friends and those family members and your spouse, and think about you checking out 10 years early. What would you do to get those 10 years back? On your deathbed, what would you be willing to give up to say, have a do-over and go, I get 10 more years? All right, that's the way you have to think all the time. And that's the way that we need to invest in ourselves, because the cupcakes aren't worth it. The beer isn't worth it. I'm not saying that you can't have things some of the times, but people are living off of this stuff, Sean. The hamburger helper, like people are living off of this because it's an easy choice. And one of my favorite quotes, I'm sure you listened to Tim Ferriss. He was talking about his old like Polish Olympic weightlifting coach that he goes to. And he says, easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life. And I love that. It's like we have to make more disciplined choices. And if we do that, it leads to an easier, better, and longer life.
Yep, absolutely, man. And I lately, since 2016, it was getting to a point where I wasn't really drinking a whole lot of water. And then I was still an athlete, trying to be an athlete, and I tore my calf muscle in half playing football. So I couldn't do that anymore. Then I started playing softball, and the calf was just never the same. And then after that, then I had some GI stuff happening, and they were like, man, what are you eating? And what do you like? It was all this stuff, So I used to live off of 2 of the Twist Top Monsters a day, which is bigger than 16 ounce. I think they're like 20 ounce cans. 2 of those a day of the green Monsters. When I see somebody drinking a Monster, I immediately are like, bro, that's so bad for you. Stop. That is that is
just smacked it out of their hand.
Let me tell you what happened to me. And I literally, dude, I got kidney stones now.
Yeah.
Like I haven't gotten kidney stones before. Started drinking Monster, kidney stones. So now I get kidney stones. I'm like, this sucks, and it's painful. So I mean, I got educated. I started looking into things like what really should we be eating? Should we be putting in our body? Like what is it that I need to be feeding my children? Because I look at my kids, I'm like, they're the worst. They're the worst eaters. Like, I want chips and I want Pop-Tarts and I want no. I'm like, you need to eat a healthy breakfast. They're like, ew, gross. Like, whatever. And so as a parent, I always like, no, we're not eating out. No, we're not going to McDonald's. No, we're not. Like, I try to limit that stuff. If we're going to go to there's a restaurant out here. I don't know if you have one by you. It's called Cheddar's. And Cheddar's is a scratch kitchen restaurant. And so when we go out to eat, we really try to choose stuff like that. Like, we won't go to like Chili's and like, mainstream restaurants. Like, I want to go to mom and pop shops. I want to go to healthy like restaurants, because I don't want my kids eating crap.
Yep. Yeah. And just from like even a frugality standpoint, I've got a lot of clients that, I kind of nerd out about money, Sean. Like it's something that I do. And we talk about, their budget, and they're like, oh, eating, healthy is so expensive. I'm like, yo, quit eating out multiple times per week. That's what's expensive. If you got a family of 4,
Yep.
you're dropping $50 every single time. And like, people can follow me on Instagram, and I post my receipt every week when I grocery shop, and usually as family of 4 for the week, it's less than $100 every single time. Usually it's like $75, and I am 225 pounds.
I have a family of 6. I have a family of 6, and I spent $174 Sunday. I spent $174, and that's food for the week.
Yep.
And people are like, "How do you survive, and your family survive on that little amount of food?" I'm like, "Because we meal prep. We know exactly what each ingredient is, and we meal prep it for the week."
Exactly,
$174
man.
feeds a family of 6 for 1 week.
Yeah. It's the box stuff. It's the eating out. That's the stuff that really is super expensive. And it's, being healthy doesn't have to be expensive at all.
Yeah, it's not at all. So let's wrap this up, man. What do you do to elevate the world around you? You got your why. You got your transformational moment. Boom. Now let's package it all together. What lights you up? How do you elevate the world around you?
Well, that is quite the epic question there, Sean Douglas. I feel like if I was put on this earth for one reason, when it comes to the weight loss space especially, I try to really get people to realize that they need to take some pressure off of themselves. They need to quit doing this mindset of, I've tried Weight Watchers, and I've tried yoga, and I've tried CrossFit, and I've tried keto, and I've tried high carb, I've tried low carb, and this next thing, it has to work, and it has to be the thing that fixes everything forever. I'm like, let's just find something that works for the next week or the next day. Let's start there and baby step in the right direction, right? So we take some pressure off of ourselves, and before we make any of those epic decisions of which program is the best fit, I like to address what I call your biggest transformation danger zones. Like, it's usually not the program that's the issue. It's the thing that makes you stop doing the program. Like you go on vacation and never get back into routine, or you stress eat at night, or your spouse isn't supporting you. Those are the issues. If we can tackle those first and come up with a solution so that you're just a little bit better prepared the next time it rears its ugly head, we can get better results from anything and everything that you do. I don't care what it is. And I've got clients that, are doing Weight Watchers, that are doing high carb, that are doing low carb, that are doing all sorts of different physical elements. So that would be kind of my platform, is let's take care of the big issues, that big hole in the road that we keep on walking right into every single time. And let's take care of that first so that we can get better results from anything that we do.
Love it, man. Bro, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is absolutely phenomenal, and I love the mission you're on. Give us a takeaway. If nobody listens to anything that we've talked about so far for the last, half hour or so, give us a takeaway. What is the point you want to make? What is the one takeaway you want the audience to know?
Yeah, man, it's implementation. It's taking action. And whenever I speak on a podcast, whenever I speak on stage, I put out a challenge, and I call it my Implementation Alarm Challenge, Sean Douglas. So right now, if people are listening to this, they're most likely right next to their phone, or they're listening to it on their phone. I want you to go to your phone alarm and set it to go off 24 hours from right now. So you've listened to this. Hopefully you're fired up. You got something that like, ooh, I want to do that, or I want to make that mindset shift. And I want you to implement in the next 24 hours. Your mission is to do one thing that is in alignment. You don't have to do everything. You have to do one thing that's in alignment with that thing, that spark that has been ignited here today. Do that in the next 24 hours because you're worth it. You are worth it. Realize that and act in alignment with that, and amazing things are possible. And I'm living proof of that.
Bro, geez, got goosebumps, bro. Holy smokes. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm serious, man. I was sitting there. I was like, get it. Like, get after it. Because I'm like, because it's so true, man. Like, you know how many people, you do. You know, There's a lot of people that are sitting there miserable. They're sitting there unhealthy. They're sitting there, even if they're skinny, they're just depressed. They have anxiety. They have depression. It doesn't matter how many pounds your body has. It just depends on how you live your life. So even if you want to shed pounds that are the metaphorical pounds, right? You got somebody who's sucking the life out of you. Just do it. Like, why are you waiting? Just do it. And then you can go back and like, why didn't I do this sooner? Because that's what everybody says. I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. Well, no freaking crap.
Yep.
So, dude, again, thank you for coming on the show, man. Absolutely powerful. And I wish you the best in 2020.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate you. I appreciate your audience. And, it's always an honor to be able to share a platform with another podcaster such as yourself. So best of luck to everybody out there. And thanks again, Sean.
Love it. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around him. If anything has resonated with our conversation today, please connect with him and let him know that you heard his episode of Life Transformation Radio. And with that, I close the show by saying, go to millionpoundmission.com and go to castingthepod.com. Subscribe to his podcast, the Million Pound Mission Podcast, and Casting the Pod. Again, millionpoundmission.com and castingthepod.com. Subscribe to Life Transformation Radio as well, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, and leave a rating and review on the Million Pound Mission and Casting the Pod and my show, Life Transformation Radio. And with that, I close the show by saying, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.